Hey, welcome everybody to the Daily Mastermind. I'm Paul Baxter, implementation coach for the Mortgage Mastermind Group. Definitely here to help you grow. Guys, hope everybody is having a great day so far. So what we're going to do, yesterday we talked a lot about holiday marketing strategies and sending sending out a nice little greeting card and making sure you're picking up the phone and calling them. So today I wanted to kind of talk to you about how you can make your own materials. Specifically, the thought crossed my mind and why it popped in and why I wanted to do it is because I want to show you how to make your own greeting card. But if you can master the things that we're going to talk about today, if you can utilize the tools built into PowerPoint that are available for you, and it's just the basics that you need to know, if you can master those few tools, you can literally build or create any materials you could ever possibly need. And the reality is you don't need to be a PowerPoint expert to be able to do these things. You just need to know a few of the basics. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Is we're going to the do-it-yourself shop, kind of going to the do-it-yourself pest control place, and we're going to make our own. And in essence, I'm going to show you how to utilize PowerPoint to create any marketing materials you could ever need moving forward. PowerPoint is much more than just for presentations, and once you master a few of the basic tricks, you can use PowerPoint for anything you need a visual aid for. But like anything else, like riding a bicycle, like learning to swim, this is a new tool that takes time, it takes practice, it takes repetition to become better at it. So as you utilize it to make your marketing materials, you'll become better and better as you go. It's important to understand that you're not going to be an expert at the end of today's class. You're going to know enough to be able to utilize the tool and be able to start creating your own materials, and then go into it understanding that the more you use these tools, the more efficient you're going to become with it. So what can you make with a PowerPoint? You can make presentations, you can make flyers for events, you can make open house flyers, you can make a brochure for your niche loan products like VA loans, reverse mortgages, things like that, first-time home buyer brochures. If you're incorporating a divorce strategy, a divorce lawyer strategy, you can create brochures that are geared towards that. Greeting cards, postcards, infographics, cover images for your fan pages, images for your ads that you're going to run on Facebook. Literally the only limit to what you can utilize PowerPoint for in creating materials is your own imagination. And with a little bit of knowledge of how it works, you can really make some nice looking marketing materials. The first thing you need to know about, and the first basic lesson, the first thing you need to familiarize yourself, is how to use the design page. And this is what the design page looks like. Now, I clicked on one of these presets to show you what a preset would look like. And if you notice the samples that I have available for you, this is nothing more than a preset background that they've created a flyer utilizing a preset background. So in essence, they've taken one of these presets and selected their variation colors and then just began to build the flyer over top of that. And so that's in the design section. That's the first thing you come to. There are several presets that you can choose from. There's also several variations of a preset. So if you chose, for example, I chose this one right here that has these lines coming through it, and then I chose a variation of an orange color. So you can do that. Now, in the design section, you can also customize the size and format the background. Now, you will use the size and format almost every time you're utilizing PowerPoint to create marketing materials. Typically, you're going to leave it on a blank preset background because you're going to build it out utilizing a background formatting, or you're going to have a white background or just a very solid fill background, which you would do here in the format area. So you're not going to use these presets very often unless you want something like this where you've got the graphic in the background a little bit lighter and then you build the flyer over top of that. So that's what you've got the presets and the variations for. The first thing we're going to focus on is creating a custom size, and that's, again, you want to get to know creating a custom size. So to do so, you're going to click on the button that says Slide Size, and that drops down this little menu. Now from here, you can either choose one of, if you're doing a regular presentation, you can choose one of these two standard options, but typically I always go to Custom Slide Size, and once I do that, you have some preset sizes to choose from. So if I want just regular old, ledger paper or letter paper, I can select the preset 8.5 by 11. And that is in by inches, okay? The numbers are done by inches. Now what I typically do is I come in and I type over what is already here in the width and in the height, and I put in my own, it automatically changes this to custom when you type in your own number. That's typically what I do because I'm looking to create, like if I'm doing a greeting card, I'm going to put it in at 4.5 by 9. That way it's 4.5 by 4.5 all the way around with where if I fold it the 9 in half, I've now got 4.5 and 4.5 again. So I can create my greeting cards, or if I want to do a little bit off-size flyer that's not the same looking flyer as other things, I can do that as well. So I typically put in my own custom size though. If you know how to create a custom size, you can now literally create any marketing material that you need. You can do a flyer, 8.5 by 11. You can do a greeting card, 4.5 by 9. You can do postcards, 5.5 by 4.5. You can play with the sizes if you want to do one that's an off size, maybe a little larger than what the normal greeting card or postcard would be, or maybe a larger flyer. Here's the cool thing about it, guys. If you get to know PowerPoint, and you can even create little banners, like if you're going to be at an association and you're going to set up a little booth, or you're sponsoring the local kickball day at the elementary school and you want to set up a little booth, you can create little banners utilizing PowerPoint as well. It will allow you to establish a custom slide size up to 56 inches wide. 56 inches is about a little over 4.5 feet, guys and girls. That's a pretty good sized banner, and that will allow you to send that to Staples. Staples would be able to print that. If you sent them a PowerPoint slide in the size that you want that was 56 by, let's say, 40 inches, that's 4.5 feet by a little more than 3 feet, so 3.5 feet, they would be able to print that for you on whatever material you selected, and they've got lots of different materials. So you can even create little banners if you know how to edit and customize the sizes. And again, to get to that, just from the regular PowerPoint screen under Design, right over here is Slide Size. When you click Slide Size, you select Custom Slide Size, and then you can either choose from a preset or put whatever size up to 56 inches wide that you want. That's pretty awesome stuff right there, guys. That's pretty cool that you can do that. And if you know that you're able to do that, you can now create any marketing materials that you want. Now, when you click on OK, when you're selecting your custom size, see the OK button down here? When you click on OK, it's going to prompt you to either maximize or ensure fit. I always choose maximize. I'm building a flyer here. This is, for my marketing material. If it's a presentation, I typically will ensure fit. But when I'm doing stuff like making a postcard or making a greeting card or a flyer or a brochure of something like that, I want to maximize. So I typically, you can either click the maximize icon image here or click the maximize button here. They both do the same thing. They both just reset your view. Now, depending on how big a view you've got, it's going to adjust it so that you can see it all on the same screen. For the display, it will adjust it. I don't know if you can see this down here, but it's showing that I'm at 77%. So the view that I'm seeing right now is 77% of the custom size that I want. I can up it to 100% if I want to look at it, make sure my image isn't grainy or any of that stuff. You can certainly do that. But now I've just customized, I've created the perfect size for the postcard or the greeting card that I'd like to send out to my past clients and my referral partners. So The next step from there is the next thing you need to get to know for designing so that you can be dangerous with this. Again, there's some very basic things. I want it to be clear. I try not to overwhelm you with a lot of technical gazmo, click this button, click that button junk. It's very specific, very limited things that you need to know about to be efficient with creating in PowerPoint. The slide size is one of them. The other one that I do a lot with is this format background. So when you go to format backgrounds, you've got several options available to you. You've got solid fill, gradient fill, picture and text, pattern fill. I typically will either use solid fill or picture and text fill. Now I'm going to show you what each of them do. What solid fill does, let's say I want to have a completely orange, no lines through it, just an orange background. I can come over here, solid fill, I come over to color, I drop that down, I select the orange that I want, and I've added it to it. Now if I want to lighten it up, I can add transparency, and it goes by percentage on transparency. So you can, if you're doing like a charcoal gray and you want it to be a little more transparent, a little less dark charcoal gray than what the color options are, you can do transparency and that'll lighten it up a little bit for you. Especially that transparency, I do use that, but only when I'm using the picture or texture fill. And I'll show you what that is in just a moment here. So solid fill gives you a solid color. Gradient fill allows you to add shading effects to the background of your custom size. So going back to what that I was showing you in the middle, notice that it kind of goes from a darker orange up to a lighter orange up here in the color where the lines come through. The orange background, that is what's called a gradient fill. There's a different sort of shading, or as the slide progresses from bottom left corner to top right corner, the shade of orange lightens a little bit. That's called a gradient. And that's what this allows you to do, is select gradient fills. So you've got your preset gradients here, and once you select your preset gradient, you can determine whether you want it to be linear. You can determine what direction you want it to go, from bottom left to top right to top left, whatever direction you want it to go. You can tell it what angles you want that gradient to begin at. Do you want it to curve like a 90-degree angle? And there's different settings there. This slider allows you to slide where the gradient actually is on the paper, and when you're doing it, you'll actually see it change as you're sliding the sliders, so you can maneuver the gradient to be in a different place. Let's say it's darker in the center instead of on the edges, and you want it on the edges. You can slide this to where you see that darker fill go to the edges. You can position and give it transparency and the brightness of your gradients. I don't use that often, but that's a great one if you're doing like a flyer like that one we showed in the beginning. A flyer like this, that's a great one to have a gradient fill. And that's literally, see these different shades of green? That's a gradient fill in addition to striping added to it. So there's a couple of different elements added to that particular slide, but that's what gradient fill looks like. The next option is picture or texture fill. Now picture or texture fill is two parts. I don't know why they put them on the same line. They should be two separate things. But it's literally two parts. Excuse me. It's literally two parts. Preset textures, and I'll show you what those are. And then part two is pictures from a file, a clipboard, or online. I never use online. I typically use from a file. And so that bubble, you click the picture. Now, if you're going to do picture or texture, if you're going to do a texture, it's already, your textures are right here. You would click on this button. If you're going to do a picture, the file is right here. So when you click on the textures button, it pops open all the different textures you have available. So if I want it to look like my slide is a piece of paper that has water beaded up on it, I would select this texture right here. Okay? If I want it to look like there's a whole bunch of little fish fossils on it, I would select this texture. Or if I want it to look like gray slate or granite like a granite, I'd select a texture like a granite, or marble, or green marble or blue denim. You've got all these different textures. Now, when I do a texture, I would typically change the transparency because these are pretty vibrant, and I would lighten it up a little bit. I wouldn't want it to overwhelm it. I have used the bubble, the little water bead texture on a flyer for a fishing seminar that I was doing that was handed out at a whole bunch of bait and tackle shops. I actually used that background for my flyer. Came out really, really cool. Came out really cool. So you can use textures. Now, if you're doing a picture, it's typically from File is what I'll use, and when you click that, it'll pop open your files. You can navigate to what picture you want to use. You click Open, and it'll add that picture as your background. I do that quite a bit. That's typically how I will do it. Now, you can also, when you add a picture as a background, it's going to fill the entire background with the picture. It's not going to place it as a header. You'll do that in a very different way. That's inserting a picture into your actual PowerPoint. What this is for your total and complete background. So make sure you understand the difference in the two there. Again, most of the time you'll leave it at a blank or a white background or a solid fill background if you want it to have a little bit of color to it. Okay? So those are the things that you're going to do. Now, if you're creating a presentation, if for those of you that are going to use PowerPoint for the actual presentation, make sure if you're setting a background that's going to be the background for the entire presentation, that on the bottom you select Apply to All. That way you don't have to go through and keep changing the background of each and every slide. If you forget to apply to all, what's going to happen is each time you add a new slide to your presentation, all it's going to do is add a blank slide with no background formatting on it. So you do need to click Apply to All if you're creating a presentation and the background is to be for every page of your presentation. Okay? The next very important part of PowerPoint to learn is the Insert section. So literally all we're going to learn about, the only things that are important for what we're talking about, utilizing PowerPoint to create any kind of marketing material that you could ever possibly need. We learned about design, and that's what you do first is you design your page, and now we're going to learn about the insert functions that you'll use, and that's literally it. If you can master these four basic things on insert, you're going to, if you know how to design a page to any size you want and you know how to do these four things in the insert area, you're going to be able to create any marketing materials that you want. The four things that we're going to focus on are the pictures, insert a picture. We're going to focus on insert a shape. We're going to focus on insert a text box. And we're going to focus on insert word art. Okay, so let's go to the first step, inserting a picture. When you click on Insert and then Picture, it pops open your files. It brings you up to your pictures. You can select any picture that you want. When you click Insert, it adds it to it. It's that simple. You can now resize that image right inside of PowerPoint. Now we're going to finish with enough time to be able to show you that and exactly how that works. I need to go live. So we're going to go live here in just a couple of minutes. But no, that's as simple as it gets. You click Insert, you click the picture icon, you click whatever image it is you want to insert into it, and you click Insert, and that's done. With shapes, what you have to do with shapes, it's a great way to highlight key items or separate something from the rest of the content, because what each and every shape allows you to do is, like for instance, if under the stars and banners I chose to use this star, what you do is you simply click the icon and that loads it to it adds it to the clipboard of your mouse. When you move back over your PowerPoint, you click your left mouse and drag it, and that begins to open up that shape, and you can make it as big or as wide or as fat or as skinny as you want it to be. You have complete control over the look of that shape, and you can also, if you click in the middle of it and start typing, you can type text into a shape. Yes, you can type text into a shape. It's really, really cool. So I use shapes quite a bit, like on flyers especially. If I want to highlight, you know, a specific benefit of why they want to be there, I'll use a starburst. Or if I want to, you know, I've got all my information up there and I want to separate my contact information from the rest, I'll use like a rectangle. I typically use a rounded corner rectangle and kind of put that in its own box, because then I can add a shape outline to that shape, meaning give it a color that surrounds my contact information. Okay? And so shapes, you want to get to know how to use those. It's simply click on that, choose the shape that you want to use, and then when you move over your slide, you left click your mouse and drag it to as big as you want, and you can edit it throughout however you want to make it. And we'll show you that live in just a second here. The next item is the text box, and that is great for when you need verbiage with no borders around it. You just want it to be verbiage on the actual slide itself as if it were a part of that. It's great for flyers, including all of your pertinent information, your bullet point type stuff. Great for that. Perfect for your greeting cards and your postcards. I use text box more than anything. And then the other item that again, it works the same way as Shapes does. All you do is you click text box, that adds it to your clipboard. So you move your mouse over, you left click, and you can't make it as long as high as you want. You can make it as wide as you want. So what you're really doing when you left click and you drag your mouse over is you're setting your margins, your width margins, and then as you type, it'll make itself as high as it needs to be based on how much text you have in there. So if I want some space at the end of this, I would just click here and hit the enter button a few times to make it spaced out. Okay, and then WordArt is awesome because WordArt has some preset colors and fonts that are really cool. Like you've got this double shaded. You can create that on your own if you know how to do it. I don't know how to do it, so I like to use the presets. What's cool about these presets is what you're looking at is what it looks like. You know, you've got like the bold A here. You've got the bold with a border A here. You've got the one with the reflection here. You've got the one with the shadow here, a little lighter shadow, kind of different shadowing. When you choose that, you can then change the color as well. So what WordArt is great for is like the header of your flyer. It's great for like your postcards if you want to say, you know, happy holidays in big lettering and then the rest in small. The WordArt is great for that because you've got the cool looking fonts and the shinies and the textures and, you know, all the gradients already built into it based on clicking the WordArt button, and you don't have to change anything other than the color that you want. So it makes it much easier for putting in really cool fonts without having to go through and figure out how to make all that junk happen. I don't know how to make it happen. You can figure it out on your own if you like to, but I'd rather choose a preset one. Okay, and then with WordArt, Shapes, and text box, I was making mention to it. You can format them by, if you click on it, like if I clicked on the WordArt box itself, and that gives me all of the formatting options for that. I can do text fill. So if I want that text to be a different color, I would drop that down and select the color that I want to fill the text with. And then the text outline, I could drop that down and select the outline I want that color to be. Like if I want my happy holidays from our family to yours to be red lettering with a green outline, I would just drop down text fill to make the red lettering and then text outline to make the green outline. Really simple to do. And guys, it's just those basic things are all you really need to know to be dangerous with PowerPoint. Once you're done, once you've got it, I typically like to save it as an image because I find it, if I'm printing it myself especially, it's easier to print. If I'm sending it to Staples or some other printer, just save it as a PowerPoint. It doesn't matter. They'll be able to print that. They'll convert it to their own image thing and print it for you. If you're going to save it as an image, when you click Save As, you take it to wherever you navigate to where you're saving your file as, and then you drop down the file type and change from PowerPoint. What we have discovered, and my good friend Alan Gross actually pointed this out to me, that if you save it as a PNG, portable network graphics format, as opposed to a JPEG format, the PNG file actually comes out a little bit crisper. It's a little bit cleaner image than if you saved it as a JPEG. The JPEG is still a good image, but it comes out a little bit fuzzy for some reason. And I think it has more to do with when you're looking at it at 77%, looks nice and clear, and then when it's at 100%, it's a little bit fuzzy. So I just prefer saving it as PNG. We have found through trial and error that it comes out a little bit clearer when you save it that way. Okay, so if you get those to know those basics, which are know how to design the page to make it the size that you want it to be. Okay, know the 4 basic elements that you're going to use on the insert key. You'll be able to create anything you want with PowerPoint. Now, granted, the first flyer you make is not going to be perfect, but just like riding a bicycle, you're going to get better at it and better at it. The first time you rode a bike, I guarantee you couldn't do a wheelie. But as you rode more and more, and as you practiced, as you kept trying and kept on, you could do a wheelie. Then you could jump the curb. Then you could do, you could grind on the brakes and do a little power slide. That didn't happen the first time out. Don't think that making your first flyer is going to come out perfect. It's trial and error. It's fun. It's play with it. It's practice. And guys, I got a little bonus ninja hack for you, and I discovered it today as I was playing with it. If you recall, we did a class about on Ads Manager and images, and going through images. If you go to Browse, you can select the stock images on Browse. Well, what if you just opened up your Ads Manager and went through the motions as if you were going to create an ad? You went to the stock images there and browsed them, found the images that you want to include in your flyer, and then just closed out of the ad without doing the ad. You can then get free images that are not copyrighted. You already know going in, because Facebook has them available to run for your ads, that they are non-copyrighted. There are no user rights issues. You're not going to get in trouble for anything, and you can utilize these images absolutely for free instead of going to one of those stock image sites and getting signed up for something that you get 5,000 emails a day just to be able to use that one picture. It's an easy way to be able to hack and go get some of your pictures. And so what I did, I just went in, acted like I'm creating an ad, went to the Browse Images, did stock images, typed in Happy Holidays, and here's all the options of Happy Holidays images I can use for my images. Easy enough, right? And that's it for today, guys. That's really all I've got. And I'll show you what I created as we were going through it. What did I call it? Called it Happy Holidays. Call it Holiday Card. I've got it as a PNG file here. There's a holiday card. As you can see, I changed the font. I just used WordArt here. I used the WordArt to insert this. And now if I want to format it, I can come up to Format here. Let's say I want to change this a little bit. I can come up here, Text Fill. I can go red, or I can go to a gradient. You know, if I want to do like a gradient kind of colors on there, I can do like a cool gradient. You can do all sorts of fun things as you're adding these things in there and playing with your WordArt and playing with the insert. As I mentioned, I'm going to add a new slide here. And let's say I wanted to insert a shape. Now this isn't going to work on one that's only 4.5 inches wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over to Design, and I'm going to go to my slide size, and I'm going to go to Custom Size, and I'm going to go with 8.5 by 11. Let's do a flyer. Maximize. Okay, now I've got my burst into my flyer, and notice I'm at 63%, so I'm only seeing 63%. If I did it like this, that would mean my burst is going to take up a large portion. You know, if I maximize it to 100% to see what it looks like, that's a big portion of my flyer that thing is taking up, right? So I can play with it that way, look at it in real size. But here's the cool part. Now I can come in here and say, 2015 business plan. Oh, that font is way too big to fit inside there, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change the font style. I don't like that at all. Let's make it something cool that sticks out. I like the Julian. And let's change the size so it fits in there a little better. 24, 20 looks like the right size to me. So now I'm not a fan of the color of this at all. So I'm going to come up here and format it, and I'm going to go with shape fill. I want that to stand out, so we're going to give that a big bright red, and I want to give it a shape outline. Let's call it black, a nice black outline. So now I've created this cool starburst, but I don't like where this point is, so I'm going to move that and have it pointing straight up and down here. Maybe like that off to the side, and let's drag it over so we're on the border. Boom, and I've added that. So now I want to add a title to it, so I'm going to come over here to insert, and I'm going to go with some word art. Let's take that cool looking, look like almost like metal. I like that quite a bit, and we'll say, are you ready for 2015? And I'm going to highlight this baby, and I'm going to come in here to my text fill, and I'm going to give that a nice slate gray. Boom, like it. I like it quite a bit. And I'm going to give it a, yeah, I like that quite a bit. So I'll leave it like that. And maybe I come over here and I insert a text box. And in my text box, I can start to say whatever I want to say. I'm going to change this font size down to about 20, make it the same size as what's in my burst. I'm going to make the font style the same as what's in my burst. And I'm going to say, join me for a live 2015 business planning, what do we want to call it, extravaganza? And then I'm going to go, and I'm going to probably now switch up to, no, Control Z. I don't want that to happen. I want to start it here. Determining goals. What is your why? What do you need to get to the mountaintop? I mean, and you could just put bullet points and so on and so forth. So you can go through and you can create your little flyer, but notice that that's not boxed. It's not connected to anything. But I want to make sure that my contact information stands out. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to insert a shape, and I'm going to snag this rounded edged rectangle here, and I'm going to insert that right there, and I'm going to say, oops, let's go with brought to you by And it looks like I ran out of room font size wise, so let's change that. Is 20 going to fit? Ooh, 20 is pretty close. So I'm going to go ahead and keep the font the same size because I can always make my shape a little bit bigger. But that shape is just way out of color, out of tune for what I'm looking to do. So I'm going to come over here to my shape fill, and I'm going to go with a white shape. And then I'm going to come back. It looks like I've got to highlight all that and change my font color to something that everybody can see. So I'll change that out to black. But now I've got my shape here, and I'm going to go with shape outline. Is red going to work? Yeah, there we go. So I can do something like that. And maybe I want to have a good image in there that I've got that lets people know that this is all about business planning for 2015. So I'm going to come over here into my Facebook Ads Manager, and I'm going to go to create an ad. And I'm going to say, I don't know, promote a page. And I'm just going to choose my page. It doesn't matter which one I choose here. And yes, I know what you're thinking. Facebook ads has changed. Don't worry, I've already got it marked down. We will be having a class in the next few days about this specifically. So then I come over here to Browse Library, and then I come over here to Stock Images. And then I come over here to Stock Images, and I type in Business Planning. And there I've got some stock images of some pretty cool business planning images going on. Let's see what we got. I like it. So when I say done there, boom, I now have my image that I want. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to snag my image. That's a dude planning business right there, right? So I'm going to capture that. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to come on over here to my Facebook or to my thing, and I'm just going to paste it on in there. Make it a little bit bigger. Boom. Lines it up. Got some cool imagery. Maybe I drop one more little insert, another shape, and maybe I say, what do I want to drop in there? I'm going to drop one of these in here. And I'm going to say free donuts. And I'm going to go boom. And I'm going to go boom. Did it just freeze on me? Looks like it did. Everything froze on me. Hold on, bear with me 1 minute. You guys still hearing me okay? I'm wondering if my whole machine froze on me. Looks like yes. Okay. All right. Sorry about the freeze on this, guys. I'm not sure why that. Oh, now it's going to go ahead and work with me. All right. Hold on. Let me get back to where we were just a second ago. Ugh. What I can do is undo, 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 undo. It was moving it the whole time it was moving it, but it wasn't letting me do anything with it. That was weird. No, redo. That's what I wanted right there. All right, and I'm going to change my free donuts to a black font so that I can change my shape fill to red and my shape outline to black. Boom. So I've got a cool little, I mean, just an easy peasy, nice and easy to put together. Not very well thought out, guys. I'm sitting here doing it as quickly as I can to go through this on class to make sure I show you as many features as I can. Obviously, this is not a beautiful flyer. I could do something like here. I could come over to design, and then I'm going to go with format background. And we're going to go with a solid fit. Actually, let's go with a gradient. And on my gradient, I'm not a fan of most of these presets. That's not too bad. Okay, so it's going to make me apply it to all. So now I can see what I'm working with here. Notice I'm changing that shading and how it works. There we go. So that's how you do it. You do that and apply to all, and now you've got your fun, you kind of mess with it and play with it a little bit. What website did you get that picture? Are they transparent pictures? No, they are not transparent pictures, but let me show you something cool. Guys, here's the cool thing about what you can do with the pictures. Where did it go? Now, if I'm doing a picture for transparency, you're talking about, like up here, I didn't want to do a transparent picture, but if I do want to do a transparent picture on an image, it can get a little bit tricky. Are you talking about this picture, making this a little more transparent? Okay, so here's how you would, it's kind of a workaround on how you would go about doing that. So what you would want to, there's no real way of making this picture on here a little more transparent. You're not able to do that with this actual image. So what you would need to do is first and foremost, you've got your little, you would create your background like this. Then you would come over and you would insert, I didn't save that picture, did I? I just copied it, right? So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to copy it again, and then I'm going to paste it here and put it where I want it on the actual piece of, on the actual slide, right? So I want it to be there, but I want to make this a little more transparent. So what I would need to do now is I now need to make an image of this. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to snap a quick Jing image of this whole page. To capture that, I'm going to save that, and I'm going to save that as background, okay? And now what I would need to do is I would come over here to design, Picture and texture from file. There's background right there. Insert that. So now that's my background, and then I would come and make it a little more transparent. So that's the only way to do it, and it doesn't seem to be affecting. That was weird. Why did it have that? Oh, because I had inserted it over that. So let me delete that now. So now I've just got a slide that is that, and you can make it as transparent or non-transparent as you want. But that's not a good way or an efficient way to really do that. Let me see here. Am I able to? I know that if I come in here, I can remove background. I know I can remove background. That's easy enough to do. I don't want to do that. Artistic effects. Artistic effects options. Oh, there we go. So yes, Jeff, check this out. Under colors, if I go to set transparent color, I don't know what it does. No, it doesn't look like it's given me much of a transparency option on pictures that I put in there. I'm not sure. I'm sure there is a way. I've never looked at trying to create art, transparent pictures on there. I don't get what that's doing. Huh. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You need to show me a sample of that so I could be able to tell you what the difference is there. I'm not sure, Jeff. I know that if you make it into the background, though, you can make it as transparent as you want. And if you're looking to type over it, that's really what you're going to do is make it the background, and then and make it transparent, and then go from there. So that's, you know, if you're talking about your building, and I'm gonna. Yeah, I saw the blue dots, and I don't know, it's, and I'm holding down the button, and it's not allowing me to do anything other than just one little thing. It touched it one time, and it didn't really, it's not allowing me to highlight what I want to make transparent or how much of it I want to make transparent or any of those things. Now it made the whole rest of it transparent except for my guy. So now I've got the whole picture transparent except for my one guy, which is more of a background removal. I don't even know what I did there. Hmm. So anyway, I can play with that. I don't mess with the, I don't know. I put images in there. I've never really messed with too much of the transparency before. So it's not anything I've really paid much attention to. If I'm putting an image in there, I want it on front. I can tell you how to move it behind and things, and I'll play with that and look into it a little bit more if you'd like to. I can tell you typically if you're going to do it, you're doing it as a picture fill, and if you're doing a picture that's, you can play with the transparency of any of the things that you're filling. Or if you're utilizing a background, you can make that transparent, and then anything I put over top of this is now visible over top instead of behind it. You can, oh, you didn't, man. It's something I'd like to learn about. If you could email me a sample or two. That is the end of time for today, guys. I hope you learned a little bit of something. Honestly, PowerPoint is probably the easiest thing that you can do to learn how PowerPoint makes it so easy to be able to create any materials that you really want. I mean, everything from flyers, your materials when you go by an office, to your greeting cards that you're going to send out. Just use PowerPoint to create that stuff, get an idea for it, and then get it out there. Print it up, get it out there. You've got all the power that you need with PowerPoint for creating any materials that you could possibly need. Guys, girls, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate your time greatly, and we'll see you right back here, same time, same channel tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you on the flip side.